Hi, my name's Savannah Sargent. I'm an MSW student at the University of New England, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about mental health care in the United States. Throughout American history, the mentally ill population has really struggled to gain proper access to adequate mental health care, often disadvantaged with a combination of mental health issues as well as possible financial troubles. The group of people in need of mental health treatment has faced a really difficult and almost cyclical hurdle. In order to afford adequate mental health care, they need to improve their financial situation. But in turn, many of them also need to improve their mental health in order to even find a decent source of income. It seemed that there was some hope for this population when the Affordable Care Act, which is a piece of legislature that was enacted in 2014, went into place. This act essentially aimed to make quality health care more accessible for Americans, and there were certain provisions that were made to help the mentally ill population in particular. While the ideas behind this act were good, this act alone has proven to not be quite good enough for what the mentally ill in America need. As many of us are aware, mental illness can occur on a spectrum. So while some individuals are able to manage their mental health issues more or less on their own, others require intense care and supervision. Mental illness can influence the way a person behaves, the way a person thinks, their mood, and it can also result in impaired functioning even in day-to-day activities. So while some individuals are fortunate enough to have families who can support them both emotionally and financially, therefore helping to provide them with the proper treatment that's necessary for their functioning, others have been forced to go without mental health care. So that can even result in homelessness or incarceration in severe situations. But why has obtaining proper health care been so difficult for the mentally ill? Oftentimes the answer comes down to finances. Prior to the enactment of the Affordable Care Act, insurance agencies were able to deny coverage to individuals with pre-existing conditions, making it extremely difficult for this group of people to gain insurance. Without insurance, the expenses of treatment can be astronomical, as we can imagine. In addition, not all employers offered insurance, and it could be very difficult to coordinate with Medicaid, insurance providers, and social service and housing programs. Obtaining preventative care was fairly difficult as well. The Affordable Care Act attempted to provide a solution to many of these issues and even estimated that 3.7 million more people with mental health issues would gain access to health care. But part of this effort was the expansion of Medicaid, along with a new requirement that instructed employers to offer insurance. So this ban of insurance companies that stopped them from denying coverage to individuals with pre-existing conditions did in theory make it easier for them to attain insurance and therefore treat their mental health issues. The act also aimed to increase preventative care and attempted to integrate substance abuse treatment with the treatment of mental illness. In spite of these improvements to the healthcare system, the mentally ill population has not benefited from the Affordable Care Act quite as much as we'd hoped. Some patients are simply not aware of the benefits that they're eligible for, and therefore they fail to take advantage of what's been made available to them. On the other hand, some have continued to experience difficulty obtaining mental health care because their state has not expanded Medicaid or the government health insurance plans for the poor and disabled individuals. Considering that proper mental health care can be critical for one's livelihood and overall well-being, it's very concerning that the Affordable Care Act has not had the full impact on the mentally ill population that was predicted. As social workers, we must make mental health care an increased priority. We need to educate our clients on the assistance and the benefits that are available to them, and we need to encourage them to seek proper mental health care. We also need to continue our advocacy efforts. While the Affordable Care Act has been a good step towards better mental health care for Americans, it has by no means solved the issues of inadequate care. We need to work towards additional policies and legislation that will focus specifically on the needs of the mentally ill and that will help to connect them with proper care, rather than another piece of legislation that looks at health care in general. This is a critical issue that affects not only those who suffer from mental illness, but our society as a whole, and it needs to be addressed in greater lengths. We need to remember that individuals with mental health issues are just as deserving of health care as any other member of society, and we must bear in mind the increased assistance and advocacy efforts that they require. This is where we as social workers can step in and use our voices to improve the lives of the mentally ill. Thank you.